Welcome back to the Nerdrotic Podcast. My name is Podcast. Man, I haven't said that in a long time. My name is Gary Beekler, and I come to you from nerdrotic.com. And fair warning to all our new subscribers, hello and welcome, by the way. And this is the Nerdrotic Nooner. Usually it starts a lot earlier, but kind of look at this as an afternoon delight here on the West Coast. It's probably evening for you guys. We will be changing our channel name very soon, in the next couple days, next 48 hours, whenever I got a particular video I want to do it with. And we're changing it to Nerdrotic, simply Nerdrotic. We're dropping the channel. Lots of reasons for this, something I've wanted to do for quite some time. And it's always bugged me that it's supposed to be the Nerdrotic channel anyway, not Nerdrotic channel. So yes, I am going to be changing everything else is going to stay the same. You're going to keep getting this great quality of programming. I'm kidding. So yeah, another programming note. So I'm single dad for the next 10 days. Mrs. Nerdrotic is in Japan, and I'm expecting a call from her. So I have to take it. So I could be taking it on the air, and you guys can just talk amongst yourselves for a couple seconds. I just need to make sure she's okay over there. I know she landed, but that's it. That's it. She made it, which is good. She's 17 hours in the future, which is pretty weird. What's up, official Dougie J and Dr. Meatball and Alex Brown and Eddie from space? Wow, that's awesome. You're from space. Are you a belter? Are you really tall and skinny and belta lauda? And Trinoculus P, howdy from Houston. Oh, hello from Houston. We love Texas here. No state taxes, man. That must be nice. Cato Roan, Alex Brown, Scaro Trek, what is up? Mild Peril is here. We can all start the show, by the way. He or she let me know. I don't know. You never know with these. Rolo Cat, yes, trees. So reason for delay. It was very mundane. I guess I should have said I was out looking for boulders. No, I'm just kidding. We had a tree fall down in the storm. So yeah, I had to wait for the tree guy. It's insanely expensive. It's insanely expensive. So the tree fell down on a fence. It was a big tree, and me and Mrs. Nerdrotic get along really well. But this was a little bit of a point of contention because I've always said to get rid of the tree, and she didn't want to get rid of the tree. And well, I'm not a I told you so kind of person. I just left it there. I'm like, there we go. $2,000 later. Yeah, $2,000. $2 freaking grand. Yeah. Okay. So here we go. What we're going to talk about today, because I've been so busy. It's sometimes I just have to think of topics, and well, a topic that's been very hot and what we've been talking about for the last couple months at the very least is when good franchises go bad. Is it kind of a response to another video by another YouTuber? Kind of. A little bit, but not much, not to that YouTuber in particular, and I'm not going to name them. So, but it's when things are deliberately done to kind of to poke at you, like they deliberately poke the bear of fandom, and either the BBC and Hollywood are completely ignorant on how fandom works. And I think a lot of them are. I think a lot of the reason is they just don't understand comic book sci-fi genre fandom. This is something, we are a different fickle beast, and we always have been. I have been a member of this fandom since I could learn how to read. I've been a comic book fan all my life. I've been a Star Trek fan, Star Wars fan since they came out. Well, since I was born for Star Trek and since Star Wars came out. I'm a fan of a lot of things. Ghostbusters, a lot of things. I ran a comic book store. You can drink. Yeah, it's a drinking game every time I mention that. For 10 years here in San Francisco, which, when you're a comic shop, when you run a comic shop, you're kind of on the front lines of fandom. You get to see you're on the ground floor. So you get to talk to a large cross section of people. And here in San Francisco, to use it's very diverse here, and yeah, people from all makes and sizes coming into the shop, all coming for the glory of one thing: comic books. Because they used to be great. I'm not so sure now, but And you hear a lot of opinions, and the one I heard the absolute most from both sides all the time, which you rarely heard a consensus on anything with fandom. So if you want to look at fandom as a whole, we're lumping in Star Wars fans, Star Trek fans, Doctor Who fans, all the fans. They don't agree on jack squat except for one thing. They want to be entertained, and they don't want to be freaking lectured. Okay. And especially by creatives. And this is something I saw starting with comic books, God, years ago, maybe even when I started my store. I want to say 2005, 6, 7, something like that. That's when things started getting a little weird with comics, but it wasn't bad. It's basically the Quesada era, the Joe Quesada era. He's an editor in chief at Marvel Comics. And it was a time where basically, things have always been political. God, I've heard that for so. Yes, they have always been political, but not this political. Let's be real. Let's be honest. Okay. And I'm not saying I disagree with some of the politics that are represented. I disagree with being obnoxious, thinking somebody coming off thinking they're right all the time. Even what politics I have, which is not much, because it's my philosophy on it is I really don't worry about things I cannot personally control anymore, which is so much. And it's part of my recovery, and kind of leading a stress-free life is possible. It's not possible to lead a stress-free life. Okay. Only like Zen masters up in some, Asian mountains who levitate can achieve that. Some Buddhist monks maybe, but not around here, not in this country. So, that's why we like our entertainment. That's why it's worth billions of dollars. That's why these are some of the biggest corporations out there, entertainment and, media corporations. It's because people value their entertainment. And we do have an American mythology. Comic books are the American mythology. Star Trek is the American mythology. And when you fundamentally change that to suit something that is very current year, that is, a lot of this stuff that we're seeing now is trends that have already gone by. They're a year old. And it's because you can't make stuff fast enough nowadays to keep up with the trends, because we're talking to each other a lot more, and things just happen faster. And it's very interesting to see that. Being old enough to remember before the internet and all that good stuff, and rotary phones, and before remote controls and all that crap. So yeah, it's an interesting thing to see when the BBC and Disney. I honestly think the BBC is the worst at bringing in particular politics and then going, what? We're not being political. No, we're not. You're seeing things. You're crazy. And then they'll come out and say, oh, it's always been political. So it's like, make up your mind, right? It's either not or it's always been. But I keep getting conflicting stories from you guys. And I'm not saying I want a certain type of politics put in. I'm saying, like, let's try to think of the entire audience. Because if I ran my comic store with if I spouted any of my, listen, a lot of people think they're centrist, and so be it. But like, I didn't talk about it at all. It was like the one rule I had. There was like, don't use the bathroom unless you're a customer, and don't talk about politics. And then pretty much everything else, I let people read my comics, unless they were like thousands of dollars. But even if it was like $100 comic and I trusted the customer, of course he could open it up and take a look at it. That's what they're meant to be read. Okay. So I was not one of those guys, don't read my comics. Plus, when I went to the comic store when I was a kid, I always had a guy growling at me not to read the comics. You gonna buy that? What am I, a babysitter? Because that's my mom used to drop me off at the comic store and then leave me there for a couple hours when she went shopping. Yeah, it was great. I loved it. It's what I wanted to do. So, Doug, you might remember that comic store. Remember Professor X's Comics in Oceanside and the Coronet newsstand? That's where, oh my God, I bought God Loves Man Kills there, and the Teen Titans, X-Men crossover, Dark Phoenix, Dark Side. Oh, good stuff. Good stuff. Oh my God, the Death of Captain Marvel. That's what I bought. The Coronet newsstand. Oh yeah, it's the franchises in doing this. Maybe they felt emboldened. I really want to kind of get to the bottom of it, or they just bottom of this, or they just didn't care, or even like more ignorant. They thought they could choose their fandom, which I think is what's behind this. They're like, we want new fans. It doesn't work like that. It doesn't work like that. You know, like life is full of choices, but there's certain things you can't choose. You can't choose your legacy. You can't choose your destiny. You can't choose well, I guess you can choose your cause of death, but most people don't. But it kind of equates to franchise suicide. It really does. So there is one choice to be made there. When you choose to alienate a certain side of your fan base because you think they're bad guys, is overgeneralizing and idiotic and childish in thought, very two-dimensional and annoying as hell, because I'm having to give up Doctor Who, something I didn't want to give up. So I'm not going to go into the night quietly about that. It's a conscious choice I made a couple months ago, because I had been quiet about it for quite a while. There have been accusations out there that I am not a Doctor Who fan. Now, I could give two shits who thinks I am a Doctor Who fan or not, but that's still ridiculous. And anybody who wants to debate me on that stuff is welcome to come on my channel. They are at any time. Open door policy to debating from anybody. As long as you're respectful, and I will be too. I try to be. Let's get to some super chats here. Peter Davison. How's your mom? How's mom doing? How's Mrs. Davison doing? She just recently turned 86, the young, spry 86. Those damn Australians, man, they're going to outlive us all because they're Australian. Hello, he says, for 10 Australian dollars. Thank you so much, Peter. It's good to see you. John Lane for $5. Thank you for the handling of the Mr. TARDIS issue. I used to subscribe until he attacked YouTubers. I don't subscribe to him now. I respect you. Hey, thank you very much. I do not speak ill of other YouTubers, period. I'm not in the blood sports. Now, that's not a judgment. If you're into that kind of thing, you could be into whatever you want. And right on, you're welcome here. Admittedly, everybody likes a little drama. Come on, everybody likes a little drama, and I'm into that too. I was very curious when the Mundane Matt thing went down. Did not partake, won't partake, but I was curious, and I think there's actually some very valuable lessons to be learned from that whole situation for all YouTubers. And maybe it's not to talk shit about other YouTubers. That's kind of what I got out of it. So thank you, John. And, I don't recommend unsubscribing to anybody, but that is a personal choice that if you want to do, totally cool, but that's not my thing. Diversity and Comics Bear. Why did he change his name? Zach. Come on, Zach. I love the work you're doing. It needs to be done. Hey, thanks. I just got bloody sick of it. And I just started talking about it, and it's great to talk about it with you guys. And I'm not just talking to myself on a camera. It's here, because once in a while, you guys, actually quite a bit, you guys present some very good points, some counterpoints that I listen to. Hey, people have criticism, bring it. It's because I actually listen to some of it. I've actually gotten some very good constructive. I mean, there's concern trolling, and then there's constructive criticism that I've gotten that I've listened to because it made sense. So thank you. Cheryl Lyeri. Hi, thank you for the $1.99. Don't you have a question? You can shoot a question in there. Make sure to hit @Nerdrotic and I'll read it. And super chats are not required at all, but they are very appreciated. But if you want to shoot something to me @Nerdrotic, if I missed it, please don't ask to read the old one because there's just no way I could go back up, but just repeat it. It's totally okay to repeat it, and I'll try to get it. Or one of my mods will try to get my attention. Tharies, what's up? Tharies is out there making content. Look at that. And I highly recommend anybody to do it. This is a lot of fun. It's kind of therapeutic in a lot of ways. So Tharies, thank you for the £2. I'd debate you. Nice to see you, man. Sure. Nice to see you too. Um, but thank you for the £2. And yeah, someday we can set it up. I don't know what we debate about, but sure, we can debate. We can debate something within the show. That'd be like whether it's good or not. That'd be kind of cool to actually debate content of Doctor Who instead of the stuff around it. That'd be fun. The Big Red Bear, 10 Canadian dollars. You're not a Doctor Who fan. Star Trek Discovery got me to quit Star Trek. I started watching it as a child with my mom. She was a Trekkie. I quit Star Trek over STD, and that is where I get my. This is where I get my STD news. Thanks. Hey, thanks, Big Red Bear. With Star Trek, I will again promise you, this is just everything. Hey, this channel is my opinion. So if it somehow turned around, I would tell you, and it might not be popular, but while the last episode, I will freely admit, was the best of the series, it still wasn't good. It still wasn't good. They're still, the big problem with Star Trek is you had to make Michael Burnham related to Spock. I could let even those ridiculous, okay, maybe there's one other thing I can't let go. Terrorist Vulcans. I don't think I can let that one go. Romulus being gone, which is for the time, I don't think I can let that one go. But the Klingons, I could actually let go. I would be willing to compromise on that one if you just erased Mikey Spock being related to Spock. That is the one thing I will never get over. And why did they do that? I know I've asked that question, but it's obvious why they did that. It's why they make prequels. They want to solidify themselves in the canon. All right. So how do they do that? They make Michael Burnham related to Spock. Now there's no way to undo it. So, like if they do a bad series and it's not related to anything in canon other than it just existed, people can just pretend it doesn't exist. There's no way to pretend Star Trek Discovery doesn't exist because she is related to Spock now. And now they have brought in Spock. There's no way. And that way, they guarantee that they're going to be included. And it's really a sinister way of inserting yourself in canon created by better people. Yeah, that one that's a bitter pill to swallow. Thank you so much, the Big Red Bear. Silhouetted Animator for $2. Deadpool 3 in the works. MCU retcon for this films. Hey, that's the first I'm hearing of it. So not surprised. MCU retcon. MCU will eventually retcon, as all things do. It's basically a mirror of what happens in the comics. Comics retcon all the time, but what the Marvel Universe does is they just play with a continuing timeline where DC just resets everything. That's the biggest difference. One of the biggest differences. But Deadpool 3, if it's going to be rated R and it's done under the Fox banner and they let the same people handle it who have been handling it, great. Awesome. Totally okay with it. Disney involvement. Disney does let companies work autonomously. I have to credit them for that. I just don't think we're going to get as a hardcore Deadpool from them as we would from Fox. And I've been totally against Disney purchase of Fox since the get-go. Oh, by the way, there's another, it's not in the news today, but we are going to be talking about J.J. Abrams and how he is the malware of Hollywood. Chase Stokes for $5. You don't have a Gallifreyan tattoo and you're not a fan. I thought about getting the gate symbol of Earth, but I don't have the guts. I joined Patreon. Hey, Chas, I'm sorry, Chas. Thank you so much for joining Patreon. And hey, tattoos are fine. I know, like, oh God, they're equated to some of the worst elements in fandom right now. But listen, my tattoos are old. I've been getting tattoos since I was 18. So yes, and I have, but I'm not a fan at all. It's fine. It's okay. It's hilarious. Thank you for joining up on the Patreon. Let's get back to the chat here. And when they make these, when they, okay, so I am talking about the BBC making a conscious decision to create conversations within their entertainment programming, knowing full well what would happen. And then when it happened, being fan backlash, they go, what? What are you talking about? We're not. Well, you're just a bigot. You're just a misogynist. And like, the BBC is just the latest in line to do this. And maybe they don't understand is we, just because we're Doctor Who fans doesn't mean we're not watching Star Trek, Star Wars, Ghostbusters, what's going on in the gaming industry, what was going on in the sci-fi books. This has been going on for a while now, and Doctor Who is just the latest to come to the identity politics game, for lack of a better term. And it's just dumb now. It's just dumb business. There is a way that we're not asking any of these creatives to change their politics or do anything like that, of nothing like that. We're just asking them to kind of come at a show as a piece of entertainment, not a piece of education or propaganda or what, like using every opportunity in your life to spout stuff. I mean, it gets old. It gets so old. People get hyper political around election time. I mean, that's pretty normal, but when we get a year, 2 years past it, we're done. Most people are done. We're moving on about our lives. The elections are done, whatever the frack they were, and you either won or you lost, and you move on with your life. That's it. And if I can't move, I'll use I statements. If I can't move on with my life over something, then I need therapy. If it's 2 years on, therapy, because it's really not good to hold on to anything for years or months or even weeks, maybe a couple days. I mean, especially when it's something that, it's not personal between like you and a mom or you and a brother or a best friend or a wife or a husband. We're just talking about, peripheral stuff, elections, like, God. And if it wasn't just repeated over and over again in everything we do, I wouldn't even be talking about it right now. If it was just one show, if it was just Doctor Who doing it and nobody else, I'd really have nothing to talk about. I would just bounce from that. But there's nothing I can bounce to right now, because everything big that I used to like is doing the same thing. Thankfully, there's still shows out there like Legion in the Expanse, but Legion's ending, Counterpart's ending, Mr. Robot is ending. Mr. Robot's actually a very political show that doesn't get annoying. Just watch that show. And yeah, if you're on one side, you might get annoyed at a couple things, but they don't center the whole damn show around it. It sounds like it is, but it's not. It was a show that was actually kind of based on the Occupy movement, but it's like gotten way into the weeds from that. And now we're talking about, possible different realities and consciousness. And, it's pretty trippy. It's a pretty trippy show. I like it. Tamarocks, $100. I just got done listening to the audiobook Fingerprints of the Gods. Oh, based on your recommendation on Exozone, it was amazing and very interesting. Got magicians queued up. Oh, and that's brilliant that you're reading them now, because I had to wait 20 years for that sequel. Graham Hancock has some books in between that are kind of sequels, but Fingerprints, Magicians is a true sequel. Graham Hancock is one of the most obsessed heretics I've ever seen. And a really grounded dude. Yeah, he gets a little bit into the weeds with the DMT stuff, but honestly, he looks at it as a reporter, and it's, I cannot recommend those two books enough. They will blow your mind. And it's not culty philosophy stuff. It's a guy traveling the world, scuba diving, doing all this crazy stuff, and just reporting on what the similarities between ancient cultures when we weren't supposed to be talking to each other back then. But there's like architecture is the same across the world. That's weird. Gotta admit, that's weird. And there's way more than that that we'll save for the exozone. We are going to do an ancient civilization exozone within the next couple weeks. That's got to happen. Thank you so much, Tamarax. Dude, $100, man. Come on. That's a lot. That's a lot. Thank you. Chris Persia, $5 Canadian. We can still ignore STD the same way Jason Reitman is ignoring Ghostbusters 2016 and his upcoming Ghostbusters 3. And you're right. It just makes it hard, Chris, but you're right. There's headcanon. We're big fans of headcanon here, where you can make up what's real or not to you. Honestly, for Doctor Who, while I love Peter Capaldi's era, there's only a couple 3 episodes that I would like truly call great Doctor Who episodes. I kind of think it ended at the 50th anniversary. And there's some people who've ended it before then. Thank you, Chris. It's good to hear from you. Scaro Trek, $5. Both JJ Trek and STD used Spock as a way to legitimize themselves. But just ignore both. Canon has been on pause since 2005, may resume. Romulus lives. Yes, folks, there is possible good news on the horizon from Star Trek. I have had multiple reports. Now, the numbers are all over the place, and I think there possibly could be some misinformation going on. Not to judge anybody on that, but where some of the numbers that have been rolled out might not be correct. I do know that they're extremely low. Extremely low. As a matter of fact, I'm also waiting to hear from my insider, who I actually speak to. We speak on the phone about the numbers. So, and what's going on behind the scenes. One thing I can tell you is don't look for, and I said it in a video, don't look for, or did I can't remember if I edit this clip out or not. I edit my videos. So this might be from a deleted scene from one of my videos. But Alex Kurtzman, don't look for him to get fired. For one, they got a lot of cash into that guy. But they also have stockhold. It's the same as the Kathleen Kennedy situation. You're starting a streaming service. You have stockholders. People aren't going to out and out get fired anymore. They're going to get promoted the hell out of the building. Look for something like that to possibly happen. Will you review the new Grand Tour on Amazon Prime? Asked Mild Peril for $2. Would you guys, or £2? I'm sorry. Would you guys like that? Because I would love to do that. I would absolutely love to do that. I used to work in the auto industry, and I'm a big fan of the Top Gear. Big fan of the Top Gear and the Grand Tour. So let's get back to the chat here. Wow. How is it going, everybody? So we are going to, in a little bit, we're going to speak about Article 13. It looks like, now, listen, I'm woefully ignorant on most of it because there's a bunch of articles out there, but oh my God, they just need to sum that shit up. Okay. Sum it up a little bit. Basically, my biggest concern is I'm not a music website. So there's a lot of copyright violating going on with music, and that's for the music people. What I am concerned about is the link tax, and because of this link situation, whether it's a tax or not, being blocked in Europe. Yeah, I don't want to be blocked in Europe. That would really hurt this channel. This would really hurt this channel. But they're going to find a way to keep us, or they're going to try to find a way to keep us from talking to each other. That's very bad. It's very bad for people who want to control people, because, divisions get mended when we're actually talking. We're like, hey, I'm not actually that mad about that thing that they say we're all mad about. That's interesting. So yeah, we will be talking. I've got an article up that looks like it might not happen, which is great news, I think. Cato Roan was talking to me about this. The great Cato Roan, who's in our wrench in there. Thank you so much. The Big Red Bear, $5 Canadian. Were I a shareholder, I'd want incompetent people fired. I've worked with the private sector my whole life. Promotions for incompetence need to stop. Yes. Yes, that is very much a oh god. It's not exclusive to the entertainment industry, but that's kind of been a staple in the entertainment industry for a long time, because the reason they do it is to cover their ass, because the person you fire might be the next freaking CEO somewhere. So you never want to burn too many bridges in Hollywood or take anything too personal. But thank you very much for the super chat. And MSN news feed is a great example of comments being taken down. Yeah, they do that quite a bit. It's across the board. Trust me. Yeah, I saw that at Tesla, Big Red Bear. I saw some, and that's gonna, man, that's your downfall right there. If you cannot get rid of incompetent people, you know, and it sucks. For whatever reason they're incompetent, they're incompetent. Maybe they'll be better at something else, you know, but it's business. And we, you know, especially when you have something like, when you're involved like public safety, you know, when you have incompetent people putting together a car, that's bad. What's up, Zeophobic 73 channel? How's it going? Sean Bichard, how's it going? How's it going, everybody? Yeah, you want to let's jump into that Article 13, and then we'll talk about JJ and how he is just set to take over Hollywood, and this is just the worst freaking news possible, like the worst possible news. But we'll get to this. I have never heard of this website, so I don't know where they come from or what, but they got a cool little data thing going right there. And I got to blow it up because I'm blind. Okay. The EU's plan to impose mandatory copyright filters is on life support and may die. Die, my darling. Die, my darling. That's the most singing I'll do. This Monday, the final trilogue, whatever, a meeting between the European Parliament, the European President. It's a trilogue? Okay. Why don't they just call it a political ménage à trois or a three-way? A meeting between European Parliament, the European Presidency, and the EU member states. They had a three-way, and it was very uncomfortable and awkward at the end. One of the parties went home very sad, two went home very happy. Typical three-way. Was supposed to convene to wrap up the negotiations on the first update to the copyright directive since 2001, including the controversial Article 13, mandatory copyright filters for online services, and Article 2, letting news sites decide who can link to them and charging for the privilege. Before I even go on, here's how you get around that. I read articles. I read articles on my videos. I show them. I don't need to. I simply don't need to. And what I'll do, this is like, if any website wants to start doing that crap, what I'll do is I'll read your article and I'll just tell people where to find it. I won't link anything. I don't have to. I'm not a news source. I don't freaking have to do that. I can just read it and say, hey, I found it here. And that's what I do. For one, YouTube hates it when you link off site. That's why I no longer put links to my Patreon or to my website or anything. I will link other people's videos because that is a-okay with YouTube. But YouTube does not like linking off site, and it does affect your algorithm. Now, it also depends on how big of a channel. Like, PewDiePie can link practically to porn and he'd be fine. But it's just not good. So don't recommend doing it, and I won't do it. I will verbally tell you where you can find it, and you can just Google it. So like this one, I will not be linking this, but it is a website called Boing Boing. And if you just Google Boing Boing Article 13, you will get this article. Okay, so we're good. What that meeting has, but that meeting has been canceled, and now the whole thing is on life support. If the three-way, I'm just going to call it three-way, can be reconvened in a matter of days. Well, you know, actually, when things get awkward with the three-way, it's really hard to get one going again. You know, you get a three-way going, it's kind of like lightning in a bottle. It happens. Somebody just had either this sounds terrible, the right amount of liquor, or you were just in the right headspace, lack of a better term. You would convince the other party, hey, this is a good idea. And usually if you don't jump on it right there, it is really hard to reconvene a three-way. Politically speaking, of course. Then it's just possible that it could finish. Then it's just possible that it could finish in work and send a final draft to the parliament to be voted on. Nobody wants a three-way to be voted on. But that's getting less likely by the second. Oh, man, drag it out as long as you can then. And a delay of more than a day or two will mean that this is off the table until after the next EU Parliament elections in the spring, which is also after Brexit, and which will likely result in a very different landscape for the kind of legislative gift to the corporate lobbyists. Between the rise of insurgent parties in the EU and Brexit eliminating the UK's MEPs, I have no idea what that is, most likely to carry water for companies like EMI and Sky. And let's also keep in mind that there's a big old company called Google, who just got fined by France by a lot of money that was probably they found in their couch during one of their, bicycle meetings or whatever the hell they do over there. The yoga meetings. Yeah, I heard there was a yoga meeting. What the hell? How do you have a yoga meeting? How do you even do that? You're supposed to be peaceful, whatever. Here's a very short version of how the three-way got canceled. Somebody got jealous and the directive got put on life support. Back in spring, Axel Voss and German MVP. Axel Rose is the German MVP. Oh, that's really good. Took over the drafting of the directive and revived the non-compromise versions of Article 11 and 13. I don't like non-compromise versions of anything, especially in a three-way. Throwing out years of negotiations in order to give the record industry and aristocratic German newspaper families a huge legislative favor. Okay, that sounds a little slanted. Okay, I'm just saying that. I'm reading from an article. This kicked off massive public anger with more than 4 million European writing to Parliament. Wow, really? Did you write letters? You Europeans, to the Parliament to ask for this to be reversed. It also mobilized some of the top technical experts, copyright scholars, investigative journalists, and many other people speaking out against it. That I would include myself on that one, and everybody in this chat, or most people. I don't want to speak for all of you. After just barely surviving an unprecedented vote in the Parliament, Voss and his backers scrambled to rescue Articles 11 and 13. The corporations behind the law poured an ocean of dark money into it. What's dark money? What's dark money? That's the first time I've seen that one. So is dark money like bribery or yeah, probably something like that. Dark money is probably exactly what it sounds like. While Voss draped not bribery, political donations, my bad. While Voss draped a series of tiny, largely ornamental changes over the directive in order to obfuscate its true objectives. But the backers of Article 11 and 13 are hardline, no compromise, copyright ultras who rejected any compromise language. The movie studio and TV divisions of the corporations that had backed Article 13 through their musical label divisions. Oh, can I read that again? Star Wars Theory just went through a little copyright thing that was put on by Warner Chappell. And Lucasfilm and Disney said, hey, whoa, we had nothing to do with that. So let me read this to you again. The movie studio and TV divisions of the corporations that had backed Article 13 through their music label divisions denounced Article 13 and called it for deleted from the directive. They had won a ridiculous court victory in Germany and hoped to leverage that into effectively forcing all the internet companies out of the business. so they could be turned into subsidiary arms of the entertainment conglomerates, much the same way that Napster was just absorbed into BMG, creating a rule that big tech could follow. Even one as onerous as Article 13 scuttled the plan. Then the music industry also denounced the compromised version of Article 13 because it had been amended so that it was just barely possible for Google and other big tech companies to actually comply with it. The record industry had been hoping to stick big tech with an impossible to foil rule, and then use that rule as negotiation leverage to get them to pay more for the music licenses. Now you have to license from us, our terms, because it is impossible for you to comply with Article 13, and only we can relieve you of the obligation to abide by it. There are lots of problems with this, but the biggest one is that even after securing permission from the record labels, big tech would still be liable for the enforcement from millions of other rights holders. And before I even go on, this is, oh my God, do you know the scams they can interject into this too? I mean, forget the true right holders. Then you'd have to get through the weeds of people doing fake claims and stuff. Oh, it'd be terrible. Big contents. What? Big content? Is that like big oil? Big contents. Oh man. What did the intransigence, California publicly educated, I apologize, was the anvil. But the hammer was ordinary Europeans leaning on their national governments. A campaign to get citizens of key nations to contact their governments was hugely successful, and the targeted countries let the EU presidency know that they too would not stand for the directive with Articles 11 and 13. Faced with both popular anger and corporate backers who had massively overplayed their hands, the EU presidency threw in the towel, announced that there was no basis for negotiations, and canceled Monday's three-way. This stands as a very high likelihood of killing Article 11 and 13 for good. Yes. As noted above, without a miraculous last-minute reprieve, the three-way will almost certainly not reconvene until after the husband has talked to his wife some more, and after Brexit, and that's going to be it's going to be a very different world after Brexit. Yes. But the bad news is, as a result of Voss taking the copyright directive hostage to serve as a parochial interests of Germany, newspaper families, and the vice president. How powerful are these German newspaper families? I mean, they're making newspapers. Isn't that kind of, and the vice presidents of the entertainment companies' music divisions, which is lumped into the bigger corporations. You guys know that, though. It's not that the music industry is dead as a whole. So something has to be propping them up, because the music industry threatening anybody is kind of a joke at this point. The EU might not get all the other non-controversial overdue technical updates to its copyright rules, long negotiated and badly needed. This should be remembered come the elections in spring. Voss's cack-handed attempt to sacrifice free speech, competition, the EU tech sector, and privacy to eke out some marginal gains for special interest groups has been a catastrophe, and it's all on him. Wow. This goes further, the breakdown. I mean, I'm not going to read any further, but that's it. So it's everything we thought it was, folks. It's everything we thought it was. It looks like it's dead. The reason that it's dead probably has a lot to do with, again, I don't get political, but what happened in France recently probably perked up a couple ears. That if you try to take away our internet, do you want to see the people come together? I mean, like alien invasion and taking away the internet. And I don't know which one comes first. Would bring the entire world, or at least the Western world, together quicker than anything. I'm thinking taking away the internet would take precedent over alien invasion. So I don't. So what's behind this is the music industry. Okay, so the music. Screw the music industry for one. Okay, you brought this on yourselves. You know, with Napster, they still haven't recovered from Napster. If you would have dealt with that the way you should have in the first place, I mean, hindsight's 2020. Maybe you'd still be relevant, but you're not. There's a lot of people. You know, music used to be an important industry, like right up there with I mean, like I would say maybe at times ahead of the film industry as far as entertainment, as far as importance. It's, you know, importance to youth. I would say, yeah, I'd say more important when it came to kids and stuff. We're way more into music than anything else. Internet and video games and stuff have kind of taken away from that. But yeah, you guys blew it a long time ago, and now we have crappy music. So sorry to say. Let me get to a super chat here and then I'll get back to the chat. I'm sure you guys have plenty to stay on this. Would you watch a Captain Pike Enterprise spinoff, The Fan Riff 2 Pounds? That is a very, very good question. And I was giving this some thought. If it was Captain Pike, the problem is Spock would be in that. If it was just Captain Pike and Rebecca Romaine as number one, here's how I would watch it with I would freely watch it and probably with enjoyment. If Kurtzman is not involved in any way, okay, I'll compromise on this. He has an executive producer credit, but he is not in the building. He has nothing to do with the creative content. And man, just like Mark Zickery's writing it, or Rod Moore is writing it, or just pick up, you know, a favorite still living Star Trek writer from old. Freaking Brandon Braga was writing it. Seth MacFarlane was writing. Yes, I would. I like Anson Mount. Here's what's going to happen to Captain Pike, though, guys, as this season goes on. You're going to see he's going to have kind of a PTSD from sitting out the war, if that makes any sense. They've already put out articles that he's a captain who asks a lot of his crew, so he'll be a very unsure captain. He's already let himself be lectured by Michael Burnham. Now, you can argue that within the frame of that episode, he was being sensitive to them just being lied to by their captain. But these are still Starfleet officers who just got out of a big old war. There's other fish to fry going on right now. Especially the whole reconstruction. Where's reconstruction? So maybe, yes. If I'm going to have, it's hard for me to support CBS right now. And it goes way beyond what they've done with Star Trek Discovery. Axanar is first and foremost in my mind when it comes to CBS and treatment of fans. So if I was CBS, if CBS came out and apologized, restructured the fan deal to let fans make whatever the hell they want, as long as they don't make money, you can't make money. And making money, guys, is like, if you get like a couple $1 million for your project, that's still kind of making money. Okay. I mean, just because it just paid for your project and paid the people, there's got to be a limit to that creatively. Okay. Still, let them make movies, let them make series, let Star Trek Continues happens, because it all helps. It's your brand is out there and other people are making stuff for free for you. That does not hurt. That is so short-sighted. So they need to fix that policy. They need to get rid of anything bad robot completely. They need to publicly apologize to Axanar, to Anas Abdeen, and to the fans, and say, we're sorry, we're going to do better next time. And all would be probably forgiven. You know, Star Trek Discovery could still exist, but if they came out and said, hey, we're not doing this anymore, we're going to do a Pike series and we're sorry and all that stuff, yeah, I'm good. And I think a lot of fans will be good. We are a forgiving people. That's why it's just so strange. I look at the turnaround with Ghostbusters, like, we're going to make a new one now. And while that might have pissed off Leslie Jones, because that was her legacy, and that, believe me, that's the only reason she's pissed off, ladies and gentlemen. She's pissed off because that was her legacy. And sorry, you're in a supposed bad movie. Honestly, I've never watched Ghostbusters 2016 all the way through. Can't do it. Maybe someday and do a review, but I don't know. I mean, I just went through Doctor season 11. The Grizzly. Will this work? Insanity end up in our pop or greater culture? Or will things only get worse in the media and in fiction? Everything from Ghostbusters to effing razor blade commercials have to tell me that I'm bad. I think they're going to start. I don't know, man. Or woman. I'm sorry. The Grizzly. I'm sorry to assume your gender. God, listen to me. I don't know. I think we make headway sometimes and then we just fall woefully behind. I think it'll change. I do think it'll change with the success of Aquaman. I think that certainly has to go into consideration. That Aquaman had zero agenda in it. Aquaman was basically a live action cartoon and people freaking loved it. And I think, and a lot of people I heard loved it because it was just a movie. It wasn't trying to create a conversation or change anything. It was just a GD movie. Leslie Jones needs to get over it. She's not going to be in another Ghostbusters, and it actually split the fandom in half. And Ghostbusters fans deserve this movie. I don't know if it's going to be different from that, though. I mean, don't get your hopes up. Expect the worst, hope for the best. This is still Hollywood making this movie. This is still Sony making this movie. Okay. Yeah, so I don't want anybody to get disappointed when the movie comes out and it's, listen, we've said this before. All they had to do was like do two guys and two girls. What's wrong with that? And then the new blood, a girl can be the leader of the Ghostbuster. Who cares? As long as she's funny, I don't care. And they got to be funny first. But I mean, comedy's dead right now. I just got back from Sketchfest. I went there last night to watch Bruce Campbell do Evil Dead 2 at the Castro Theater. It was freaking awesome. It was balls. It was great. It was so great. I had not seen Evil Dead 2 in the theaters since it came out in the theaters, like many moons ago. And so great to see it at this old timey kind of, just old rickety movie theater that's really old and it's actually brilliant. In the Castro district of San Francisco. And Bruce Campbell did a Q&A prior to the movie and then after, and he was funny as hell and he was on fire and he was great. And it was a very interesting thing. He talked about Marvel movies and pretty much how producers out there can't wait for these things to end because they're so damn expensive to make. And he talked about green screen acting and it was interesting. It was interesting. Gave his thoughts on torture porn, which is funny as hell. I tweeted about that. What was his quote on torture porn? He was glad the era ended, and he's all, hey, look, there's a guy's dick in a vice, and somebody's poking him with a stick. Where's the drama? It's important to note that the death of the smaller art film industry, at least its relevance, has led to this. Creatives have to go somewhere else. Well, you're absolutely right, Big Red Bear for Canadian $5. And here's how you defeat. Well, this is how Article 13, which I was just reading about, almost killed that because you have YouTube. You do not need a middleman now. You don't need to. You still need financing, but you've really got by one step. You need the exposure part. The exposure part of a web series or an independent film is now on you, and you have an opportunity to actually get it out there without having to compromise so much to get into these film festivals. You got to basically, to get into Sundance. Well, you have to compromise to their parameters. Screw those guys. Put your film on YouTube. Yeah, you're still commercializing it for somebody else, but you have a better chance of making money than you do through Sundance. And then kissing a bunch of butt. And you don't need to do that now. You don't need to do that. And Hollywood, believe me, is the place where you kiss the ring the most. All right. It's all about compromise, like horrible, like really evil compromise at some points. Yeah, and Hollywood's trying to fight this while remaining relevant, and this is an impossible. This is almost like Hollywood fighting a war on two fronts, because if they come after the internet and they come after us with copyright laws, we're going to just get pissed at them. And now that we are kind of a collective in that sense, where you don't want, this is a bear you don't want to poke. And Doctor Who and Star Trek and Star Wars are finding out what happens when you poke that bear. And you could sit there and deny it for as long as you like. That audience score on freaking Rotten Tomatoes for Doctor Who, I believe it's still at 22%. Well, spoiler for my next video, it should be a lot lower. The reason my next video is late is because I actually counted those damn reviews, every single freaking one of them, and it took me a week because I can only do it little bits at a time. And I got the numbers on that. So hopefully that's out soon. We'll get it going. It's half done. It's half done. But with the copyright issues, that's why, on my videos, I don't show footage. I'll show a picture, and I haven't got busted yet, but I have heard that CBS is hitting people for screenshots now, which is dead wrong, by the way. As freaking fair use. I pay for that. Okay. And I'm not like replaying the whole thing. I'm just doing a review. Now I haven't, knock on wood, been hit. So that's nice. And that's why I won't show that stuff. I won't even risk it anymore. I've already, with the early part of my channel, when nobody was watching, I got hit with so many freaking copyright claims and stuff. I've learned my lesson. I'm just going to give you, basically, yeah, we're not super visual. That's why I try to make my office look as fun as possible, because this is about as visual it's going to get. By the way, I put the lights back up. Somebody wanted the lights back up. Oh, I didn't turn on my lava lamp. Shit. Sorry. My lava lamp is there. So nobody needs to be, see, it's right there. I just need to turn it on. All right, let's get to some more super chats and I'll get to the chat, guys. Sorry. I'll get caught up. We got Strawberry Hellcat for $5. Do you see the underground nightclub scene on Project Blue Book? Seriously, a gay aspect to the plot is not needed. Was that his wife, or was that his wife cheating on him? Because they were alluding to like a lesbian relationship, unless they were talking about like the gay nightclub scene from the 50s that was super underground in certain areas. As far as a UFO show, sexualizing it for the drama, or I know it's not. Okay, listen, before I hear it, I'm in San Francisco. I understand the nuance of that. There's also relationship and love involved in it too. But when you present something like that, it's kind of the mating ritual aspect. It's sexualized. Okay. So, yeah, I don't know how necessary that is but I have not seen it, so I cannot comment on it. I just don't know how, that's not what I went to Project Blue Book to see. I wanted to see Alan J. Hynek running around solving UFO mysteries. I don't need to see straight sex in it. I don't need to see any. I just need to see freaking UFOs. By the way, did you see Secure Team 10's latest video? Oh, crap. So this is now the third or fourth drone footage catching something that was amazing. Now, his headline sounded like a bit of hyperbole, and I have to watch it on a big 4K screen to make sure it's not faked. But we've had some drone footage come up where they catch something going so fast. There's no way, like it's surprising the naked eye. It's surprising the camera caught it, to be honest with you. It's very interesting. That's good. We're going to talk about that on the Exozone. But go, when you get a chance after this, go to Secure Team 10, watch his latest video. Strawberry Hellcat, when I do the Project Blue, we're going to jump back on recapping that. God, is that tomorrow night? Tomorrow night. Yeah, we'll talk about it. Okay. I'm not afraid to talk about stuff like that, but thanks for recommending The Expanse. I'm thoroughly invested now. Wonder Girl 60s. Awesome. Welcome. Another Belta Lauda, or maybe you're a Martian, or maybe you're an Earther. I don't know. But The Expanse is best science fiction show on TV. I recommend all Star Trek fans, all Star Trek Discovery fans. Whether you like Discovery or not, don't hate The Expanse because I like it or other people like it. I mean, you're just robbing yourself of some enjoyment. That is the best sci-fi on TV. With if we're playing the identity politics game, with the best black female first officer on television, Naomi Nagata. She's her and Amos are my favorite characters from the books. Anyway, I like Naomi. Naomi is like a little. She's like a punk rock girl back when that was cool, back in the 80s type, you know. So a woman, sorry. The Big Red Bear, but think about it. You can't get your weirdo movie made, but you can make a job writing for some big AAA production. You could still want to get your message out there. Yeah, you're right. That's actually a very good point. But the thing is, you can now. But there's just a bigger gatekeeper involved. But I get your point, and yes, I understand that, and I would agree with that. I'll say there's part of that is correct. There's absolutely part of that is correct. That you're saying there's a necessity for the independent film to get those, your Lynch movies out there. And yes, for one, I really enjoy that stuff. I want to see more of it. But I think Netflix and Amazon are actually doing that. Problem is, it's buried. You need to find that stuff. Hollywood financing that stuff and putting it in theaters now that's another thing, man. That's harder and harder every day. But you're right. It's harder for the little guy to make it out there. That's why make your own content. Screw these guys. Go do your own stuff. You listen. I went to Hollywood. I played I live firmly by this in life. Something my pappy told me, and I told my kids. And I think it's the one thing my kids actually listen to me on. Thank God. Was you got to play the game before you can change the rules. Oh, here's that phone call I was talking about. Talk amongst yourselves. I'll be right back. And I'm back. I told you I'll be quick. I lost my train of thought there. So I'm just going to get back to some chat there. Oh, wow. Look at that chat just popping off. Okay, I'm back. That wasn't that long. That wasn't that bad, right? Sometimes if you pop off too much, like YouTube will automatically, or if you go off the air, they automatically put up a commercial or something like that. I hope that didn't happen. I don't want that to happen. No mid rolls on Nerdrotic. No mid rolls. Thanks for recommending the Orville. Watched the first episode on Hulu last night. I absolutely loved it. It was a great way to wrap up my first Comic-Con. Oh, wow. Zombie sauce. That's brilliant. And the Orville season 1 is incredible. Season 2, the last 2 episodes have been really great. I think it's back to form, to be honest with you. First 2 episodes were right, but season 1, season 1 was kind of the same way. A little bit of a slow start. Fantastic run till the end. They're going to miss Alara though. Alara's gone, and I don't know. How do you guys feel about that? Do you think it's something there's just no problem? She didn't add that much. I kind of think she did. I liked her quite a bit, and it's too bad what went on there. Some possible dating. I don't know what's going on with that, but that's why you don't date people at work. Excuse me. Joel Tomburo. I also love The Expanse and the character of Naomi. I also really liked Bobby Draper and Avasarala. Yeah. Okay. The Expanse, real quick. Let me tell you why, real quick, why this is the best show on TV. So all those diversity things, like Doctor Who, Star Trek, we're diversity first. That came absolutely before creative content or anything. The Expanse just did. They just did it. For one, it was based on a book. These characters look like they look. And honestly, like with most books, when you transfer to a TV show, everybody's a little prettier. That's about it. Amos is a little younger than he is in the books. Naomi is not a tall, skinny person with really super long hair. And Bobby Draper is pretty much the same, although Bobby Draper in the book is 6'3", 6'4", 6'5", something like that, and 250 to 275 pounds, built like a linebacker. She is she's a tank. And that's how you scientifically explain stuff like that. When it really takes me out of a film, especially sci-fi, when something's supposed to be somewhat grounded in science, and then you have, and I won't even make this about sex, when you have 115-pound person beating the crap out of a 300-pound person, unless that 105, 115-pound person has a gun or superpowers, they're going to probably die. So that's not real. And when I see stuff like that, it's just like, it's ridiculous. That's kind of why I have a hard time with Tom Cruise movies. But that being said, Expanse does everything right. They really try to ground themselves in science. And I'm not a scientist, but it sounds real enough. And that's all you have to really do. You don't have to put in spore drives because one of your writers got into Paul Stamets and dropped some shrooms and thought you'd base your whole episode around that, and then maybe stole something from a video game called Tardigrades, Anas Abdeen. By the way, look for, I got to get him the questions. It's kind of on me, but I'm going to be doing an Anas Abdeen interview. I got to shoot him some questions, which I meant to do yesterday. So I'll probably do it today. And of course, he has to run everything by lawyers and everything. Could take a little while, but we want to talk to him here because we support him 100%. That's that small creative thing. Big Red Bear, another thing with that is creatives are being stifled by, they're being stolen from. That's something that really doesn't get talked about enough, is the plagiarism in Hollywood. If I can talk my friend on coming this show, who was I don't know if he could talk about it though, so I'm not going to, this friend will remain nameless, who was a horrible victim of this, now he beat it. But he had to get a Hollywood bigwig to help him, and he beat it. But it was awful. And we can't name this person, although I might have secretly named him in a past live stream. One of the people who took it is a big exec now. He failed right upward. I guess stealing something actually gets you a double promotion. So regenerate the awful Whitaker into somebody good and get decent sci-fi writers. Gary Smith, I would love that. But the Leslie Jones thing ties directly into why you don't want to do this whole first thing. Okay, so I named it my last video movement marketing. Disney has perfected movement marketing. So Black Panther was not a movie. It was a movement. Although when we saw the movie, it was just a movie. It was a good movie. It was a 7.5 out of 10. I enjoyed it. I did. But then I forgot about it. It's not something I go and revisit. I usually rewatch the Marvel movies I like a couple, 3 times. I mean, Infinity War, I've watched again and again and again and again. Ragnarok, I've watched a few times. Black Panther, I think I've watched twice, and I'm like, I'm good. I mean, it was, again, not terrible, but not great. It was not a movement. So the problem is when you come out with that, we've got the first this or the first that, and it fails. And it fails because of, well, it wasn't good. Not because of the movement, but the problem is you just attach that piece of pretty much mindless entertainment or, just disposable entertainment, not mindless, disposable, to a movement that now makes it impossible to cancel, impossible to change, because if you do, then you got Leslie Jones coming out and calling it something political, which it's not. It's purely, we want to make money. The last movie didn't do good, and we want a hit now. Okay, can we have a hit now? No, we can't, because we did this whole movement marketing thing, and now that you want to talk about paint yourself into a corner. So no, we will not get a change. We were never going to get Doctor Who could have failed miserably in the ratings, and we still would have gotten a season 12. Didn't matter. And let's be real, it didn't fail miserably in the ratings. What's going to happen though is it will fail miserably in the ratings. The repercussions from season 11 will be felt in season 12, just as the repercussions of The Last Jedi were felt with Solo. Yeah. It just, when you do stuff like this, it's the next time around that when the consequences come. So that's why we're not going to get a change with Doctor Who anytime soon. And listen, if they do regenerate, they're going to space it out again a couple of years. So yeah, we're going to get season 12 in a year, and then it'll be a minimum a year and a half before we get another one. I would predict 2. Or it goes on hiatus for who knows how long. Anyone go through Bandersnatch? I got through some of it. Love the concept, the ending, as with all Choose Your Own Adventures. I mean, it really mirrored the Choose Your Own Adventures books. Is the endings always kind of felt, meh, I just chose it. I thought it was solid considering it was world building. What's that? I was impressed with many aspects of, and I'm a fan of old school comics. Oh, okay. Got you, Tarka. I'm like way behind on the chat here. She should regenerate in Howard the Duck. It couldn't be anywhere. It couldn't have done a worse job. Jibba Jabba FPV. That would be funny. Cause yeah, I want to quack at the whole damn thing, to be honest with you. Doctor needs to go on hiatus until we have flying cars everywhere. Maybe DJ Bowman. Elon's working on it, bud. Bandersnatch is more like Groundhog Day for gamers. It is. Well, Groundhog Day for gamers and Philip K. Dick fans. The problem is, I haven't gone through the whole thing, so I can't. That's kind of part of the problem. But it really is a good way to fight pirating. It really is a good way, because you cannot download that thing. Not with its multiple endings and everything. And believe me, that's why they tried it. That's why they tried it. You want to talk? I mean, I guess you could screen grab or screen record everything. We're talking 5 hours. That, ooh, man. But you can download. I mean, like I heard, you can download the 4-hour versions of the entire season. So yeah, whatever. BP needs to be true to the comics. Black Panther. That's what you were talking about. Yeah, it was good. It was good world building. It brought a fantasy element into Marvel that was much needed. That was so now you're able to introduce like a Namor or the Inhumans someday, because you have. And one of the retcons, okay, when they originally retconned Wakanda into this super society, I just thought it was OP and everything, overpower everything. Now that I thought it was a good concept to retcon it being they being from space, like there being a spacefaring civilization in that way. I thought that was actually kind of a good idea. and you make it kind of mythology. You make it like Ragnarok, and you make it like Asgard and stuff. Yeah, I think that's a good idea. I think that works for me. I mean, it's a comic book world, it's a fantasy world. You can do what you want. But when you have this super city that started on the world, and they're basically, well, nationalistic, the truest sense of the word, it makes problems. It makes problems. Plus, while Shuri is very smart, and when Reed Richards shows up, he's the smartest, and it's because of his power. Got to remember that. That blew my mind when I was a kid, because I never thought about it. But I was like a teenager when I read it in John Byrne's Fantastic Four, that Reed Richards' power enhances his already good intelligence. But the thing is, he can stretch. That's part. By the way, for the longest time when I was a kid, I thought Mr. Fantastic's name was Stretcho. I just thought I thought it was his name. So his power, his brain can do the same thing his body does. So his mind can work theoretically. It can connect dots and stretch, and that's so his stretching power goes to his mind, and he's able to comprehend things. That's why he's so much smarter than anybody else. Here's hoping the UK's no deal Brexit will change Doctor Who's production for the better. If the BBC is running Doctor Who, I hold no hope for change. That's why it's just been more of a therapeutic element. I'd like to offer solutions to a problem, but I mean, the only solution will be to, while the BBC can still own Doctor Who, farm it out to somebody else and trust them. Stephen Klein says, I have to disagree. The Expanse is not the best show on TV. Preacher is the best show on TV. I would almost agree with you if it wasn't for season 2. But Steven, season 3 rallied. Season 3 was so good. Season 1 is perfection. The problem is, the only problem I have with Preacher was season 2. It dragged. You got to admit, it dragged. The first 2 episodes were great, but it dragged a little bit, and they got stuck kind of on Herschel's farm, if you know what I mean. Somebody don't admit to that in the air. I got you though. Yeah, it's always possible to download something. Reed Richards, Tony Stark, and Hank Pym and Bruce Banner are the smartest characters in the Marvel Universe, right? Not counting Doctor Doom and the villains. I mean, yeah, Shuri's supposed to be up there now. They retconned it, and that's fine, whatever. But she's just not smarter than Reed Richards. Do you think Reed Richards uses his stretching powers to please Mrs. Richards? That's an obvious question. Why do you think she's around? But eventually you still have to talk. That still has to come into play. Do I use Gillette to trim my beard? No. I don't think I've ever used Gillette razors, to be honest with you. Now, Jody Shittaker. I use clippers, and they're not Gillette. They're like salon clippers. And when I do use a razor, it is Dollar Shave Club. Idris Elba as Reed Richards. You joke, but that could totally happen. Destiny Captain, I would. Dave Cullen is always welcome on this show, and I would love to talk to him either privately or whatever about that stuff, because he's probably way more on top of it. Listen, it's selfish reasons. It's complete selfish reasons why I'm on top of it. But yeah. Austin Woods. The only thing that can save Doctor Who is time. Yes, I agree. I 100% agree with that. Counterpart is the best, and nobody's watching it. The BBC will only change if it's made pay-per-view and it starts earning some money. Yeah, it needs incentive. This is what happens when you don't have real. I mean, it does have competition now. It's got ITV, but and other stuff, right? But competition is a good thing. It breeds innovation. These streaming wars are going to be great for us for a little while. We're going to get a lot of stuff we would never see. I'm convinced, like, Alter Carbon would have never happened if it wasn't for streaming wars. It's an insanely expensive show. And it was great. If anything, Brexit will just make it worse. I don't live there. I don't know. The Bizarro Jesus was weird. Oh, from from Preacher. That's Humperdoo. It's Humperdoo. He's not a Bizarro Jesus. He's actually a descendant of Jesus, but like the 100th through inbreeding. It's from the comic. Netflix is eventually going to cancel all of their superhero shows. Yeah, that's what's really getting in the way of my enjoyment of the Punisher, to be honest with you, knowing it's going to end and we're not going to get any more. And I doubt D Plus, which is a really dumb name for a network, by the way, is going to do anything with freaking Frank Castle. Watch Counterpart, says Bill Barclay. It's fantastic. It absolutely is. I'm not kidding you, folks. Counterpart is one of the best shows on TV. It's one of the best written shows on TV. It is maybe I went a little crazy in the last recap calling it The Modern Prisoner, but it's kind of close to that, where it's while it's nowhere near as groundbreaking and crazy good as The Prisoner was, it's it makes you think like The Prisoner did. So check the Preacher comics makes the show seem normal. I've checked it many times. But he's probably talking to the chat out there. Yes. Actually, right below my feet right here where you hear me kicking. Can you hear that? That's my box with my complete run of Preacher under my desk. I have all the comics I love under my desk. They have to be close to me. Realistically, Disney's going to kill the golden goose with Marvel. I promise you they will kill it. The big red bear. Yeah, that's I totally agree with that. They've started. They killed the comics because they didn't care. Counterpart is awesome. I hope they don't cancel. I hope they don't either. I seriously hope they don't either. Lubella says Punisher season 2 has been cringeworthy at times. Legion is the modern prisoner. Yeah, okay, Mako, you're right there. That's true. I'm not going to argue with that. Thomas Williams, I haven't seen Counterpart and I refuse to watch your review because I don't want to spoilers. Hey, that's good. Yeah, don't watch it until you see it, Thomas. That's fine. It'll be there. It'll be there. No, I don't want you to get spoiled from it. Watch it when you get a chance, though. You can't blame Netflix for not wanting to develop an IP that is going to be used against them when Disney opens up their own streaming service. Absolutely not, Ian Hunter. No, they not only canceled, they canceled it with malice. The way they canceled the show, they canceled the shows on the premiere of the following show. That was a middle finger to DC, a big one, a big digital streaming war middle finger. The B plot of the Punisher is beyond stupid. What? Oh boy. I really hope they reconsider Confred Birdfred Putin's axe wielder. Is it the Punisher going to piss me off as much as Iron Fist season 2 did? It might. It might. I really hope they reconsider, because if that's what we're headed, I think about canceling my Netflix. I'm not going to pay 18% more for 20% less. Yeah. Netflix would be dumb to raise their prices right now. You wait until the streaming war is over and they win, because they are the clear winner right now. Them and Amazon, they will win. I can call that shot right now. They will absolutely win because they're years ahead. They have the infrastructure, unless they do something like stupid, like raise their prices. Then I don't know. Who is number one? Who is number one? Sorry, Destiny Captain. I know I got to do it with a cadence. Who is number one? Preacher isn't my cup of tea, and it's not a lot of people's. I understand that. You got to be kind of into surreal, kind of trippy shit. Maybe you've taken some hallucinogenics in your pastime. I watched the first 4 episodes of Counterpart, and I just couldn't get into it. I'm sorry, Gary. It's okay. You don't have to hand in your nerd card. We don't all have to agree on everything. That is, yeah. Oh, hell no. Keep your nerd card, please. You are number 6. Love the main Preacher cast. All our Brits are Irish. That's true. They are. I'm thinking about this. Haley Joel Osment was in it, though, season 1. I'm not a number. I'm a free man. Oh, I got to show you guys this. God, I hope I don't. I always break this out when I talk about The Prisoner. I got to open it and read it someday. This is beautiful. So it's Gil Kane and Jack Kirby. Look at that. That is so beautiful. Yeah. I didn't even knock over a Dalek doing that. And it's on Amazon, by the way. It is on Amazon right now. The Prisoner. I think I heard Doomcock wanted to talk about it with me. I got to watch it. Like his knowledge of it. I need to watch it a couple more times all the way through. Take some notes, and then we can talk about it. Where can I watch Counterpart? Amazon has it under a second paywall. They have second paywalls on Amazon. Amazon. Oh, they do. If Mage Grey Wolf, if you are a Prime member, you can watch it. Oh no, it's you got to add the Stars app. That's right. So there is a free trial for the Stars app. If you wait like this won't help the show, but I mean, if you want to watch it, I'd wait a couple more weeks, and then you can use the 1 month free. I think it is, or even it's a week free. You can burn through it. It's like eight episodes. So 10 episodes. Sorry. That was my Dalek. Not a fan at all. Have now quit Doctor Who collector. Oh, see, this is what I've been talking about. Opop 2 says, I have quit Doctor Who collector, a collector of 45 years. Have every figure, Blu-ray and DVD box set released from the 50-year franchise. I am now done. I told you, BBC, I wasn't the only one. So you sold OPOPT2 and myself and lots of others. So, I mean, you when you collect stuff like that, that's thousands of dollars. That's probably like hundreds of dollars a month that you just gave up for somebody who will casually watch your show, but not all the way through. Will not buy the Blu-ray or DVD, or won't even buy it on a streaming service. We'll watch it for free and tweet about it once in a while. But I could do a whole video on those new fans that I talked about in my articles that haven't said a peep, not a single sentence, nothing about Doctor Who since they wrote their articles. By the way, yes, if you are a fan of Preacher, Penn Farm Girl says, Happy is definitely worth checking out. It is a fantastic show, which is right up the alley of Preacher. So you should like both. Bill Barclay. Yes. There was also a short-lived series of Time After Time and the fantastic 12 Monkeys. 12 Monkeys was awesome. I loved it. I won't buy anything with the Jodie logo on it. God, I kind of broke that, Thomas, but I had to. But I bought them secondhand. All right, it really, yeah. So there's the Blu-rays, the Peter Davidson Blu-rays and the Tom Baker one. I bought them on eBay, but they had the Jodie. I'm pretty sure they had the Jodie Whittaker logo on it. Which, yeah, I'm not. No toys, nothing. I have some missing stuff from my collection that I got from eBay. I just got a War Doctor, which you can kind of see right there, right next to my base. That's a War Doctor. So, so yeah, Rotten Tomatoes real quick, because it's in the title. We need to talk about Rotten Tomatoes. So there was a little confusion with my last video, not much, but a little, that I clarified in the description. I was reviewing the episode, So those reviews were from the episode. So there's three. There's the well, there's actually a lot. So Star Trek Discovery season 1, there is a divide there of like 80 something to 54 something. Then there is the overall season 2, which only has like 8 critics in and like a couple 300 viewers. And there's a huge split on that, but there's not enough people there. And I did show it within the video. But the 96% I was referring to was for the episode Brother. All right. And there was 30 at the time, 30, 27, 37, 27 reviews. That's enough. Like with Doctor Who, it was like 38. So there was 27 critics came in and with 96%, 96 freaking percent. And I will maintain this till the day I die. 90% critics don't agree that much on anything. And while I was going through the reviews, and believe me, I just pick them random. What I do is I'll look at the headline and I'll look for some keywords, but I just pick them random. I read every review and then I'll like put in what I want. The first 2 I picked weren't reviews. They were feature articles. A review is you mention everything from the whole episode and your overall thoughts of the episode. That is what I think a review is. That's what I would read as a review. Not a feature article on the new red shirts are now dumb white guys, or the other one, which was the new red shirts are dumb white guys. Or no, Captain Pike was the best possible white guy you could put in this show. Like articles are being written out loud about that. You just switch that with anybody else. Yeah. So yeah, I was talking about the episode. So that 96% is from the episode. And there was plenty of critics to believe that 96%. And when I was watching it, I'm like, people are going to love this. They're going to love it because it's pretty. And that's what they did. They made it pretty. They made it a little bit less annoying. And I'm just asking people to wait because I mean, I watch a lot of TV and we cover a lot of TV live viscerally, and there's patterns. There's repeated patterns. So Doctor Who season 11 was the exact same result as Star Trek Discovery season 1. There was people who were questioning it, out against it, but most people were going to give it a try. They were going to watch it all the way through and give it a try. Well, around the 4th episode, and that's kind of the sweet spot of whether you know a show is going to work or not. Whether it has a rough season or whatever, it's the 4th episode. You know, that's when shows start getting their pace. That's usually when the Doctor and Doctor Who starts getting his pace, and you know. So when the 4th episode rolled around of Star Trek Discovery, people all of a sudden the sentiment for it changed completely. I was doing the live recaps, and in the chat, it was about 50-50. People were squawking about it. People were enjoying it. After the 4th episode, most people were like, F this show. I don't know. I don't think there was anything really in particular in the 4th episode that was worse than the first 2. But with Doctor Who season 11, 4th episode, Arachnids in the UK. That one was obvious. That was a horrible episode of television. It was like cartoonishly bad. There was some, give it a chance. It's all right. It's okay. 4th episode, people were done. So I don't know if it's going to be an exact duplicate of that with this season, but with the Pike stuff that I know is coming, people are going to get pissed. People are going to get pissed. So basically, Michael Burnham's going to show Spock how to be a better Spock, and number 1 is going to show Pike how to be a better Pike. And hey, there's nothing wrong with behind every good man is a woman and vice versa. But when it's agenda driven, it gets, again, annoying. So we'll see. The thing is, the biggest difference between Doctor Who and Star Trek I'm seeing is there's a little, not as many people are checked out of Star Trek as they are Doctor Who. Like people really checked out of Doctor Who. Yeah, there's people out there who are hanging on. Just go look in the world right now. People are pissed off. Star Trek is a different beast. Star Trek fans are a lot like DC comic fans. They are freaking loyal to the core, and it is hard to alienate them. So if you've alienated half of your Star Trek fans, you've done well, that's a Herculean task to try to do that. I've seen children cartoons with better writing material than Doctor. Yes, I have too. The Last Airbender. That's a better written show than Star Trek Discovery and Doctor Who season 11. What about how fresh the Doctor is? How many times have we heard that? It sucks. Sid of Id, it's talked about so much in the reviews. It's almost I would say 1 out of every 3 reviews says the word refreshing. The word refreshing. What's behind that word? You know. That's a lot of the stuff I heard of the Star Trek reviews is the positive reviews are people who really weren't in the show and didn't like it that much in the first place. So they changed it to bring those people in. Now there's nothing wrong with doing that, like evolving your show to bring in new people. But if you go away from what is basically the heart of your show, it's not that show anymore. It's just something with that show's label on it, which is all Star Trek is. Star Trek Discovery is. It is something labeled Star Trek. It's got some familiar things. Kind of funny how those uniforms are such a different color. Like, why a different color? Why a different shade of yellow? Why a different shade of blue? I understand you changing the actual uniforms. Okay, I get that. But why change the color unless it had to be 25% different? There is no reason whatsoever to change that color. And as a matter of fact, I will argue right now that, certain colors go in and out of trends and stuff like that. The lighter blue is very much in line with the kind of blue that people are into right now. Yes, if you get into the fashion thing, a lighter blue is totally in right now. A darker blue, that's not necessary, but it really did match the Kelvin universe color, not perfectly, but it's certainly more towards that tone. Wasn't the prisoner the main character rumored to be John Drake from Secret Agent Man? Oh, I don't know. Like She-Ra and the Princess of Power, only She-Ra by name. Yeah. I watched a little bit of that cartoon. It's just like, the only thing I asked is, not even the identity politics in it. It's like, who would watch this? Like, what kid would watch this? But I'm 50. What the hell do I know? Fourth Doctor, K9, the TARDIS, and 2 Genesis Daleks survived my shelf call. Hundreds of figures are now sit in the basement in a box, cursing DW 2008 Toy Story style. Yes. Mark Dooley, that's what happened to this room the day. Yeah. I think I've told that story. The day the decision was made is the day this stopped being a Doctor Who room. This used to be a Doctor Who room, like 100% covered in Doctor Who. At first, I just changed this back wall behind me, but then everything. It's got a corner now. It's been relegated. I put Doctor Who in the corner. Is that bad? Avocados. It's almost avocado time, believe me. Let's get to a couple super chats here. Oh, well, thanks. OP2. I'm sure it's supposed to be OP2, something like that. OP2, maybe. Love everything you do. Keep it going. I will try. Thank you for the $3 Australian. God, you guys are almost in my wife's time zone right now. I don't know, probably not. She's 17 hours ahead. So Mild Peril for £5. I saw your happy reviews and you shaved off your beard. It was horrifying. Like seeing Santa with the Hitler stash. Wow. Never shave it again. Okay. I won't. No, I won't. Don't worry. What was the time? Why did I have to? the last 2 times I shaved my beard is I screwed up trimming it one time, and I thought I had to trim it for a job, but I didn't. So no, I've pretty much had a beard constantly since 2011, maybe. Yeah, for a while now. Stephen Karagazlu. I hope I got that right. Sorry, Stephen. Sadly, in the UK, we pay a tax to the BBC in the form of a TV license, so poor ratings may not even mean they will make any changes. They will, though. See, the ratings don't help anymore. And this is actually the one good thing. This is what might force a change, ladies and gentlemen, is merchandising. So as I alluded to in my Friday night podcast, I will talk to you guys about this again. Merchandising across the board is down. So if I can get up this article in time, Bleeding Fool, Marvel and Star Wars merch. So I have an insider. No, that's terrible. Let's see if I can find it on Bleeding Fool. If not, there was a Bleeding Fool. Oh wait, I know where it is. Hang on a second. Hang in with me for you. Okay, so my insider with Doctor Who. God, I almost said the company. We spoke, and the merchandising is grim. Was the word that was used? Grim. In comparison to what it used to be. It used to be a cash cow. And it no longer is anymore. And they had recently done some they got the Funko Pops. I mean, they'll sell okay, but as far as like shirts and stuff like that, well, where before you had men and women, boys and girls getting them, now you only have mainly women buying them, which you just cut out half your audience. So I mean, that's a fact. And whether it's right or wrong, I just don't see a lot of guys wearing that logo. Okay, where is the Bleeding Cool? There it is, right there. There it is, right there. Now this has nothing to do with Doctor Who, but they are related. Okay, and this is from our friend, not Bleeding. Did I say Bleeding Cool? Shame on me. This is from our friends at Bleeding Fool. Bleeding Fool, where I have contributed a couple times. Thank you very much. Marvel and Star Wars products are seeing considerable sales declines. Sales for Star Wars and Marvel comic related products are down from Disney's fiscal year ending September 29, 2018, compared to the previous year, and even more so compared to 2 years ago. As a part of the SEC filing, Disney released its fiscal 2018 financial report offering numbers and insights for their consumer products and interactive medium divisions, and this also includes publishing. Revenue of for the division is down 4% from 2018 to 2017, and down almost 16% from 2018 to 2016. Profits for the 2-year period are also down nearly 17%. Disney Consumer Products division is also the only division at Disney that lost revenue in 2018. Now you couple that with grim. So what's grim of I didn't get a percentage with the Doctor Who merchandise. I don't think I'll ever get that. My guess it's Doctor Who never was sold very much. It was sold in Toys R Us from once in a while, but not very much. Doctor Who toys used to be available everywhere here, like in a Walgreens. They used to be able to get stuff in Toys R Us, and now it's relegated to comic shops again, which is kind of where it was before. The Pops you can get Doctor Who merchandise at Hot Topic. And I showed you guys the video from I was on like one of the busiest shopping days of the year. Nobody touched the shelf. And because we were shopping at this mall, which I don't usually do, for hours, I went back and hung out for a little while. I even convinced Mrs. Nerdrotic, hey, I got an idea for a video. So I need to do something really boring and observe a shelf for an hour. So she said, fine. So I did. So I sat there staring at the damn shelf for an hour. Nobody touched it. Nobody touched it. Now, maybe somebody came by when I looked down at my phone a couple times, but nobody touched it. It was kind of hard to stay awake. I had some coffee. I was like on a stakeout. I was like on a nerd stakeout, like a YouTuber nerd stakeout. Even our German Toys R Us is full with the mountains of Star Wars toys that rot on the shelves. The reason being is because they've made it so not special anymore. I mean, listen, as a toy collector, the thing that is like the catnip for toy collectors is exclusivity. Exclusivity. It's a constant treasure hunt. We love that stuff. Now, I do a lot of sacrilege things now because I really don't collect toys anymore. So I like them loose. I rip them out of the package. I know some people just when they hear that, but I do because I'm not going to resell them. Like these are art. That's the way I see them. So they're like, they look like generic action figure now. They're just like, it looks so busy and nothing, and nothing's really distinct from it. It just looks, and presentation is everything. So how you present your product is absolutely everything. Maybe the TARDIS would be cool as a sea landscape. So you think you would walk in your underwater breathing in the ocean? That'd be kind of cool. That's a weird. What made you think of that, DJ Bowman? You just kind of thinking right now. My wife threatened to buy me a Jodie Whittaker Doctor Who t-shirt for Christmas, and I told her she did, I'd divorce her. Wow. Well, hey, she might take you up on that. Buy you that shirt. Better be nice, Jibba Jabba, FPV. Tommelfinger and the chat, since Nerderotic channel and the chat, since the BBC is publicly funded, aren't the books and the revenue numbers public? Well, Tommelfinger, I don't think, I'm not sure if their government works the same way as ours does, as far as transparency. That is a very good question. I will ask that as well. I will echo that. Is there a place where we can see BBC numbers? Rip them out like EVS does. Yes. Oh, yeah. That's how you do it. That's how you do it. This is the thing. Why didn't Star Wars The Force Awakens have all the original cast continue their adventures? Couldn't they have introduced the new cast within the old cast? Rebecca Gold, that is a great question. Yes, they could have done that. They could have done that. But the problem is they went in with no plan. And they had, God, I'd hate to say this about Lawrence Kasdan, but they had talent, somebody who's used to be talented and some talentless hacks involved in the story. And they lazily put something together. And that's what we got. There's absolutely, I mean, Cobra Kai is the way you bring in the new with the old. Ash versus Evil Dead, season 1. That's how you do it. It's like the comic books industry and the number ones in the 90s. People collected them thinking they were going to get rich 50 years time. Yeah, that just doesn't happen. What makes something collectible is exclusivity and demand. That's what makes something collectible. So low print, like comic books, it's got to be a low print run and everybody has to want it, making it rare. I mean, I know it's like science. Kevin Fox, $5. What is the next franchise, in your opinion, in danger of following Doctor Who, Star Trek down these anti-fan paths? Wow. Haven't they gotten them all? Is there anything? I mean, Star Trek, Doctor Who, both have been around for over 50 years. Okay. And then there's Star Wars. Then there's Marvel Comics. DC went through their own phase. They could get DC. I don't know if that's not franchise, but DC is vulnerable. It's starting to invade their comics again, but I think they're smarter than that because they kind of went through their own phase of this already with the New 52. It's very mild compared to what's going on with Marvel. But like Westworld, yeah, Jibba Jabba. If that's a franchise, yes, Jibba Jabba, FPV, Westworld. I think already went there. I would argue it already went there with season 2. Battlestar Galactica, they're remaking it. You never know. God, that would Buffy. Aren't they I thought they called that off, the reboot of Buffy. Okay, Mild Peril. I will not. I've been keeping an eye on my message. Don't miss another summons to the High Council like last week, if invited. Yeah, that sucked. I was busy though. There's not a lot I could do to avoid that, but my ears are perked up. If they want to bring me on, oh hell yeah! You don't say no to the High Council, man. One does not simply say no to the High Council. Do you feel it's important for Star Trek to explore strange new worlds? What's it with the CBS bag of gimmicks they keep pulling in with Disco? Kevin Rose, they want because there's talent. It's the Mr. Robot talentless hacks. That's their MO. They flash shiny things in front of you and you go, it's good. And like, listen, I've fallen victim to that as well. But when upon further investigation, none of the shit they do it makes perfect business sense. Oh, they're extremely good business people, probably the best in Hollywood. Yeah, I'll read you this article. It's from Audio Video Club. And it's got a big old smiling J. Oh, I had, there it is. It's got a big old smiling JJ. Look at this guy. This guy got Hollywood by the you know what. Look at that. Ha ha! Look at that big old. I'm rich, suckers. Okay. J.J. Abrams is the new chew toy being fought over by Hollywood's angry dogs. And this shows you how much actual thought and care Hollywood puts in anything. Because if anybody from a marketing team saw that 50% of the fan base is pissed off by anything, that's a failure. That is a failure. If you have half of your fans pissed, it is not because they're all right-wing robotic bot trolls or whatever. No, it's their real fans who are pissed off. And that's bad. I mean, you're not going to make everybody happy, but really, you want 70 to 80% of your fan base happy, not 45 or 50% of your fan base happy. Because out of the half the people that are pissed, there's people who are tepid towards it, who are just like, that's not good either. That's actually worse. Because hate is a form of love. So when apathy kicks in, you're really screwed. And that's what's next. It looks like the Abrams family is going to start buying that fancy mustard soon. As Deadline reports, all of Hollywood's richest and most powerful studios are whining and dining J.J. Abrams and his bad reboot production company in hopes to luring them away from Paramount for a new deal and presumably a shitload of money. Wow. Potty mouths, AV. Apparently, Paramount isn't particularly happy with Abrams since it's been since it's been paying an 8-figure yearly overhead for his Bad Robot label since 2006, but the deal hasn't worked out too well for Paramount lately, thanks to the disappointing. I can talk. This live stream's getting long. That's all I'm saying. Disappointing response to Bad Robot branded projects like Overlord and the Cloverfield Paradox. Also, despite assurances that he would direct another Paramount movie at some point, Abrams has also been spending time away from Paramount a lot so he can make Star Wars movies for Disney instead. Remember, folks, he's employed by Paramount right now, yet he's making movies for Disney. This is what J.J. Abrams does. He starts a project, he infiltrates your company, and then he leaves to go do what he wants to do and infiltrates another company. It's like opening a goddamn phishing email, and then Bad Robot reboot comes out and infects your franchise. Abrams has been spending time away from, I already read that part, but all other studios are eager to pick him up because they're freaking idiots. Oh, I'm sorry, because he's still JJ freaking Abrams. I want you in 5 years to remember this picture. Remember this scene right there. Can you see my little finger just go up his nose right there? Picking his little nose, picking his teeth. Yeah, remember this face in 5 years. Deadline believes that Disney is the favorite to win Abrams' affections, since he apparently has a very close relationship with the studio head Bob Iger, thanks to those Star Wars movies. If I was Paramount, I would have this guy whacked. I would. I mean, metaphorically speaking. Not to mention the fact that the studio could offer him TV work and his own dedicated development pathway for new movie ideas. The thing that might hold Disney back, though, is that already has so many projects. He already has so many projects in development from Pixar movies and own streak of live action cartoon remakes to Star Wars and the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Oh, don't let him near the Marvel Cinematic Universe, Kevin Feige. Also, the studio would be taking the 20th Century Fox properties at some point, so adding Abrams to a pile that will make it extra crowded. Especially, you look at it this way. You get a new girlfriend because she cheated on her boyfriend with you, or vice versa. Okay, not to make it a sex thing. A partner. You get a partner who cheated on their partner. We'll keep this as bland as possible. That partner will probably cheat on you. I'm just saying. The other front runner is reportedly Warner Brothers. Now that's, I believe. But no. I'm going to take that back because I think they're pretty, I think that's wrong because I think they're pretty happy with what they got right now because this might have been thought of prior to Aquaman's success and stuff, but we'll see. Which already works with Abrams through its TV branch on stuff like Westworld. Well, Westworld season 2 happened. There's Universal, which might want Abrams to be the new Steven Spielberg. What? He might be able to type Spielberg's memos, or Apple, which that one I believe, which has an infinite supply of money, we assume, and is throwing that money at mysterious streaming services or service. Yeah, the one we've never heard of that has people like Ronald D. Moore working for him. Or Abrams could reject all of them and try to turn Bad Robot into his own independent studio. That is the one thing I promise you he will not do. I 100 and 1,000% promise you he will not make it his own independent studio. Why would he? He would have to follow through on things. You expect results, but if you just work within a larger corporation and keep selling the snake oil, then you're taken care of. Well, he's already set for life. Or maybe he'll take money from everyone and become the new king of Hollywood. Hail JJ, first of his name. By the way, that emperor is naked, butt ass naked. Yeah, they don't learn. They don't learn. Listen to the fans. Hollywood, ultimately, I don't care if you succeed, big studios. It affects me not. Less competition for YouTube. I mean, it would be hard to talk about stuff. We could sit there and talk about the demise of Hollywood, I guess. But guys, yeah, that's not your dude. That is not your dude. Let me get to super chats. Kevin Fox. I already got that one. Yeah. So the next franchise, Kevin, Buffy. They're going to screw that one up pretty. Actually, if you like little franchises, oh God, yeah. Firefly, they're going to screw that one up. X-Files, Kevin. Disney's going to jack up the X-Files. Promise you. Peter Davison, $30 Australian. Hi from the girls in the Ramble on Cafe, sending hi from the girls in the Ramble on Cafe, sending on behalf of Peter a large koala to show a large Aussie appreciation for your channel. Well, good day, ladies from the Ramble on Cafe. Where parts? Where's that in Australia? I want to look that up later. That's awesome. Well, hello, ladies, and thank you for the koala. I will take very good care of him. I promise to kill him humanely and eat him and use all of his. I'm just kidding. I would never kill a cute koala. Are you kidding me? Um, well, I used to have a tree you could hang out on. I don't have any eucalyptus trees. We got lots of eucalyptus trees here in California, though, tons. But my tree just fell down, so I'd have to get another one. Let's get to the chat here. Whoa. Okay, Tommelfinger, not JJ Abrams. It's OJ Simpson. It's OJ since he shoots his like. Well, he didn't shoot anybody. It was way more personal than that. Comrade D. I got to go on Twitter. Is that on Twitter? Your DM on Twitter? Yeah, I'll read it. I got to get over there though. I got to get over there. Oh boy. I'll get back to that, comrade. Gotcha. Okay. Rebecca Gold. What has happened to movies? The movies in the 80s were awesome. E.T., Back to the Future, Gremlins, Ghostbusters, Big Trouble in Little China, Big Trouble in Little China, and The Thing, and Blade Runner. And yeah, the 80s were brilliant. But the thing is, they didn't have much competition. It was a kind of a renaissance period. Movies were, see, the blockbuster happened in the late 70s. So like, there was a lot of stuff, but the Bond franchises was picking up, The Godfather, then Jaws happened, and then Star Wars happened, and then Close Encounters, and like these huge summer blockbusters started happening. All of a sudden there was like some real freaking money down there. Always was, but it was like real money. Raiders Lost Ark, and yeah, it was a great time to be a kid. It really was. Imagine a summer where you got a good Indiana Jones movie and a good Ghostbusters movie. Yep. All right, I'm on Twitter, Burnfred. Oh. What? Oh my God. What? Burnfred, man, are you trying to trigger me right now? Oh shit. God damn. I want to throw fucking something at this. And this is Susan. I got to talk to you, Susan. Susan, you watching? Susan, I love you. Okay. Like a sister. I love you. Okay. It's a fan-sided website, so it's not really her fault. She's affiliated with Fansite because 1428elm.com, which is the horror site you should be going to all the time, because my co-host and good friend, the person I love like a sister, Susan on the Ledge. Follow her on Twitter. Great website. But they have a really these guys like that. I mean, like, hey, at least they're thinking. I gotta admit, it's a bit of a triggering. It's a lot triggering. It's clickbait, but I mean, as a YouTuber, I gotta respect this. I wasn't ready for that, Burnfred. I wasn't really ready for this. But get ready, guys, because you will have the same reaction I do. Alex Kurtzman is a worthy successor to Gene Roddenberry. Well, if you want to consider it in the sense of just basic knowledge of Gene Roddenberry, he was kind of a jerk. Did a lot of really crappy things. I know he's the godfather of Star Trek, and bless him for that. But he also, what did I hear Doomcock saying? He would take clippings of edit clippings off the floor and sell them. It's like, I can't really begrudge him for that. But he also tried to copyright some insane by putting lyrics to the Alex Courage. Like, yeah, didn't he try to do something? He did some really shystery stuff. Yeah, I know he was stooping his secretary or something like that, but that's Hollywood. I don't judge people for that. Don't get married. If you're really rich or you're in Hollywood, do not get married. Okay, I was trying to avoid this as long as I could. Thanks a lot, Burnfred. Yeah, wield your axe in my skull right now, please. When Gene Roddenberry created Star Trek, he brought to life a world that would become iconic for decades. but he was far from being perfect man or storyteller. Now with Alex Kurtzman in the big chair, we have a worthy successor. Is that your logic? Um, uh, Andrew Devlage, 6 days ago. You might want to retract this whole thing. The original pilot to Star Trek was a demonstrable failure, leading to an unprecedented recasting and reshooting of the pilot. So while Gene may have left NBC impressed, he didn't strike command gold until the second time around. By the second, is this their logic? Is this your freaking logic? Because the cage, so the whole series 1 of a Star Trek show was the cage. By the second season of Star Trek, the original series, NBC was considered cancellation, but a letter writing campaign by fans. Well, do you know why? Did you look into why it was considered canceled? It was because the Nielsen ratings information was erroneous and crappy. They also did not count the 18 to 49 demo. There was a lot of shit they didn't do back then. The numbers were actually insanely wrong. Again, it was an unprecedented action, this time taken by fans to keep the show they loved. For the third season, NBC had moved Star Trek to the 10 p.m. Friday slot, known in the industry as the death slot. As often, the final nail in the coffin of the show was placed there. And sure enough, immediately after the third season, despite another aggressive letter writing campaign, the show was canceled. And so what does that got to do with Alex Kurtzman? Oh God, I don't want to read. Is this just a word salad here? Okay, motion picture phase. He tells us about the history of the motion pictures. We've never heard that before. These elements have since been reused. Commander Riker, Troy. Okay, phase 2. Gotcha. Okay, what does this got to do? Oh my God, there's a second page to this, man. Okay, so he's giving me the history of everything. We know the history, franchise and fatigue timeline. It's because Star Trek back in our homes. Okay, J.J. Abrams and the USS Kelvin. We all know this. I want to get to his point. That's a pretty there we go. The return, I kind of agree with that. The return to the small screen and the small stream. Brian Fuller was brought on to develop a new series for CBS, but this time it would be a kickstart to their streaming service, CBS All Access. However, before the first episode ever aired, Fuller was somewhat mysteriously removed from the project, replaced by showrunners Gretchen Berg and Aaron Herberts, who are now gone. Fuller was not mysteriously removed. He wanted to stick to canon. CBS did not, period. Berg and Herberts were no, and I'm not a Fuller backer. Okay. Yeah. He's like the Darabont of TV. Although Darabont did his stuff with TV. Yeah. He's like Frank Darabont. He's insanely hard to work with. He's a creative genius and a bully. All right. And that's what Darabont is. And, sometimes, like, so is James Cameron. But sometimes that's, if they're genius enough and listen, in their bullying, they're respectful enough, you can deal with it. All right. Sometimes it's okay to deal with a bully. It makes you tougher. Berg and Herberts were noted for creating a hostile work environment and were removed as showrunners at the end of the first season, replaced by Kurtzman. Wow, they come out and say that to shade them that much. I wonder what really happened. And some level of involvement since Fuller first brought aboard. CBS All Access is doomed anyways. I totally agree with that. CBS All Access can't go for a couple more years, folks. It's insanely expensive to run. Simply put, no, it's not. And I disagree. It is absolutely doomed. CBS has doubled down on the service and will continue to invest in its growth and prosperity. As more shows are added to the value of the service will only increase. That's assuming people watch these shows. That's a pretty amazing assumption there, youngster. Andrew. Andrew doesn't live in the United States, by the way. He watches it on Netflix. So CBS draws their funding from these shows through deals with distributors. internationally. And although their subscription service, as we previously discussed, the budgets are outstanding. You don't spend 120 million on a 15 episode season of anything without stable funding. Hate all you want. Budgets in business are people aren't in the budgets are business, and these people aren't business rookies. No, they're gamblers, son. For one, they are spending somebody else's money, allegedly. I have not heard any report. I have not seen any actual report with facts in it stating that Netflix funded season 1 as much as they funded season 2, and they did not buy the short treks. The reason you're watching them now is because they were gifted to Netflix. Now, this isn't to say the shows won't eventually find a home on traditional television or a secondary streaming service in the United States. I firmly believe that they will. Streaming isn't something they forced on us. It's something we demand. Let's not pretend otherwise. Just feign outright over a few dollars a month. Did you hear that? Don't feign outright for a few dollars a month. Well, here's the deal. It's how many few dollars a month you're going to spend. It's not the few dollars themselves, youngster. It's how many few dollars. And I don't know what your living situation is and stuff, but to feign people for not wanting to spend a few dollars a month because they need to pay their bills or something like that. Yeah, go suck a you know what. Live power wire. Even if things are bad for us, cable was not free. Well, actually in some apartment buildings it is, jackass. Actually a lot of apartment buildings, basic cable was free, was part of your rent. And yeah, I mean, but I don't pay for it. So, and when I watch something on a pay service, Andrew, I have a higher expectation. That shit better be cinematic, and it better be cinematic in its storytelling, not just simply look cinematic. So you can spend all you want on fluffy little special effects for Star Trek Discovery. It sucks. It's not Star Trek. The Orville, which has a third of the budget, I'm guessing third. That while it's not as pretty, is way more watchable. I would rather look at the Orville special effects than Star Trek Discovery special effects. Star Trek Discovery special effects on the surface look pretty, but that big action scene from the first episode, go back and watch it again. How much of it is in focus? I was screen grabbing stuff from that for my review. I had the hardest time finding a picture in focus because most of that amazing special effects scene is blurry. It's all motion blur. That's all it is, which is just a way to hide crappy special effects, that and darkening everything. So yeah, it's all blurry, and it wasn't that bad. And by the way, they were flying through asteroids and talking to each other in the damn ship. And like, there's no way they all should have died from little minuscule asteroids flying through their little pods, which had no shields. So there you go. There you go. There you go. Thanks, Burn Fred. I was feeling all relaxed too. Oh my God. Just that word salad. So he had a word count. So he had to like recap the entire history of Star Trek. I'm just going to assume, like getting to the point. He's basically saying Kurtzman is the new Roddenberry. All right. I want you to remember this, folks. Andrew Depledge says Kurtzman is the new Roddenberry. I've said dumb things in the past and they've come back to haunt me too. So, don't judge him too harshly for it. He's trying to just eke out a living here on redshirts.com. I know how much they make for these articles. And he probably can afford to buy Next Generation Blu-ray and the Star Trek movie Blu-ray combined for like $80 on Amazon. That's right. You forgot they were taking time to look at each other while they were talking at each time. Yes, Sorosio. It was so dumb. It was so dumb. And that asteroid should never have hit the disco because what does every starship have? deflector shields. Well, they said because they were using they were using the transporter, the shields were down because they had to amplify the transporter, right? So the shields were down. And that big gouge, and it was just, it's soap opera writers. Okay. Andrew is dead to me. Mark C. Ticketman Blade says, I'd rather watch Classic Who had tinfoil effects, and I'd rather watch it over Series 11. Yes. Classic Who had paper mache and tinfoil, and I do watch that over and over again. At the asteroid, you should never have hit. Yeah, exactly. Will CBS ever give Deep Space Nine the remaster treatment it deserves? Yeah, I think so. I think eventually. I'm gonna walk back on that one. No, I think the era of physical media might be coming to an end, folks. Might be coming to an end. Streaming services will only succeed if you can't find that shit anywhere else. So his logic that Star Trek Discovery will be in a secondary market, honestly, that's why CBS All Access is failing right now, because you can watch Star Trek on Netflix, but that's part of the deal. That's part of your deal with the devil, is that's hurting them more than anything. If CBS All Access was the only place on earth you could go see Star Trek, it might have a fighting chance. As long as that stuff's on Netflix, why am I going to pay twice for Star Trek so I can see Star Trek Discovery? And honestly, I mean, like, maybe somebody's watching The Good Fight or Big Brother on that stuff, and bless you for doing that. I haven't seen either, so I don't judge. Although, I mean, like, Big Brother is, there's free voyeur porn on, I'm just saying, on the internet. Let's talk the glass pods. I know, right? There were Neon Visual. You're so right. I was watching that scene, and I was actually so just astonished that they made her the test pilot. I'm like, they really did it. Like, I thought they were going to dial this stuff back, and everybody's like, oh, this is a step in the right direction. They freaking doubled down on the Mary Sue in this. So, listen, people want it. Listen, you can't judge people for liking the people who are liking this, because in their heart, they just want to watch good Star Trek, and they don't want to fight, and they don't want to sit there and criticize their show that they've loved for so long. It is hard for it's hard for a fan to get there. And I equate it to the sports ball fan who gets there and has just had enough of seeing his team suck to the point where, like, I'm just not this isn't all like ice cream and unicorns anymore. This sucks. This totally sucks. I'm not enjoying this. This is not fun anymore. The best I heard was, well, it's not as bad as last season. Okay. Is that good? That's somehow good. How is that good? No, it was just as bad as last season. It was. You just had a year off and you haven't thought about it in a while. And if it's your opinion, that's fine. I unfortunately had watched large parts of season 1 again before we got into season 2. So, just to remember a couple things. And I've watched way more in the show than I ever want to again. Bruce Campbell does rule. The Bernadine, he does. He absolutely rules. Okay, let's get along in that. Mark C, $5. Gary, I sat through one season of STD. I sent you a DM. Did you see it? I will check. I just closed my DMs, but give me a second. Do you think you will watch BBC War of the Worlds? Yes, I probably will. Although, I mean, how could you agendize War of the Worlds? Well, they probably will. They'll find a way, Koba. They will find a way. Thank you for the £5. Thank you, Mark C. Yeah. They'll find a way. I'm seeing that J.J. Abrams face again. Son of a bitch. Hang on just a second. I got to get that one DM going. There we go. Okay, I will read this. Mark C. I got it. Oh, how did my camera move? I'm like shifting all the way over there. Let's read a little more chat here. Let me get to this. Thanks for watching. We had over 500 people watching like the whole time. That is crazy. Nobody else was live streaming, were there? I've got notifications of the Yang right now. So, and I will open that. I just lost my chat. There we go. Rebecca Gold, do you know of UK's The Avengers TV series? Yes, I do. You'd love it. It's espionage British television series created in 61. Tremendous crush on Emma Peel. And it was great seeing her in Game of Thrones. And she was a Bond girl as well. No, I love that show. I watched it a lot as a kid. So that The Saint and Get Smart would be on down in LA, like back to back to back. And so, because I got all the LA stations. So yeah, I dug that show. Absolutely dug it. Absolutely dug it. Oh, hang on just a second. All righty, folks. I'm going to read a little bit of chat and then we're going to call it. I'm sorry. But I'll be back Wednesday. But I have some thanking to do, so I'm going to be a while. Let's get back to the chat while you read our patrons. I got to change that thing again because we got a bunch of new patrons, which is awesome. We almost hit our goal. That's crazy. Doctor Who with a chainsaw on his hand. That'd be great. Do you think they show us how Pike got his nice wheelchair? Because if they do, I flip. He rescued cadets on the training cruise, according to side lore. They're filling in gaps. I wouldn't put it past them to show that. I actually believe a YouTuber out there has some really sound logic on a Spock and Pike spinoff show. The fact that they haven't announced this yet, I find quite curious, because I think that would be more popular than not popular. Picard show is very popular, but it would create a lot of buzz. The thing is, it would just destroy Discovery. Insider told me Picard series was meant to be replacement for Discovery. The limited series that they spoke of when they talked about the new series for CBS All Access was Khan. Khan got shelved. Now Picard has been officially announced a limited series. It makes a lot of sense. I can't see 80-year-old, Patrick Stewart doing his, seasons of television. We can hold out hope that there is some sort of a regime change, or certain people are exited, because Akiva Goldsman is in the writer's room, if not running that show. Or is Kurtzman right? Kurtzman and Akiva Goldsman are both involved in that show. It will not be good with those two people involved. Period. Those two people need to leave for it to be a good show. But man, that one's going to be the roughest one, because that one's going to cause, there's going to be people who are just going to defend that to their dying breath, no matter what they come up with, because it's got Patrick Stewart in it. You think it's ugly now, it will be uglier then. If it comes out, remember, everything's in development right now. There hasn't been a lot of money spent on anything, because they're waiting for the dust to settle from Discovery season 2. But for everybody who thought everything was freaking sunshine and rainbows, they have come out and admitted that they changed the Klingons because of fan reaction. That was reported 2 days ago. They've straight up admitted the reason they changed the Klingons is because fans are pissed. The reason they changed the show is because the fans are pissed. They're not going to admit that. But every review out there has they allude to some form of season 1 wasn't that great. Some of these people were saying season 1 was great. It's amazing how things turn around. It's really amazing. Utterly amazing. What's up, Robot Rob? How's it going? There are stories that Diana Rigg hated George Lazenby and she ate garlic before their scenes together. Maybe he was a creep or something. Well, I listen. That sucks. But he didn't have a lot of good judgment. I mean, he gave up the Bond gig, right? Didn't he give it up? It's kind of a moron. But I liked him as Bond. I did. I'd watch if Picard were more of a mentor type character. I was going to do a video on this, but I'll just repeat it here. They are going to, I'm pretty damn sure they're going to base that off the Countdown comic book. So Star Trek Countdown is a prequel to the 2009 movie. The comic book series was actually better than the movie, and it had Captain Data, Ambassador I'm losing it, dude. Ambassador Picard to Romulus. Ambassador Spock was speaking to the Vulcan High Council about the red matter and using the Vulcan technology. And you've seen all this but they get into the weeds on the story. You see the rise of Nero. You see him as a more fleshed out villain. Actually, if you read the comic and you pretend it's canon, which they said at the time when the comic came out that it was canon to the film, which makes it Star Trek canon, because all the events of the comic book happened prior to the Kelvin timeline. So therefore, in somebody's aspect, it's canon. It isn't. Well, at the time, I liked the comic book, and I thought it was really good. It's a really good story. So Picard was heavily involved in the decision making that led to the failed attempt to save Romulus. Certain people saw that as Vulcans dragging their feet. If the Vulcans would have acted sooner, Romulus would have been saved. Blah blah blah. Picard is involved in that decision. So, and it was a story laid out by Kurtzman and Robert Orci. So what do you think Kurtzman's going to use? Do you think he's going to use something else, or do you think he's going to use something he used? And by the way, the whole story is a ripoff of Undiscovered Country, because nobody involved with Bad Robot can actually come up with something original. So they just ripped off Star Trek: The Undiscovered Country in a comic book, made it pretty good. Honestly, it was pretty good. But that's what they're going to use as the basis for the Picard series. Bet you. Take my love, take my land, take me, and I cannot stand. Eddie from space, what's up? You can't take the sky from me. No, you can't. Well, actually, Disney's going to take the sky from you, Eddie. Disney's going to take the sky and the ground. Is Jean-Luc about to get the Luke Skywalker treatment? I would say yes. He's just another old patriotic white male that needs to be brought to size. Scroll in the chat. Oh, there's always a scroll in the chat. Yay, Firefly. Yes, I love Firefly. All right, so I'm gonna thank the hey Mark C. I'll read that and respond to you. Thank you so much, by the way. Where'd it go? Okay, super chats. We have so many. Here, I'll share them. I'll share them with y'all because sharing is caring. And here we go. Oh, come on today, folks. There we go. Peter Davidson, John Lane, Diversity and Comics Bear, Cheryl Lyra, Tharies, the Big Red Bear, Silhouetted Animator, Chaos Stokes, Tamarox, Chris Persia, Scaro Trek, Mild Peril, the Big Red Bear, the Fan Riff, the Grizzly, the Big Red Bear, Strawberry Hellcat, Wonder Girl 60s, Joel Tamburo, Optu, maybe I'm saying it right finally, the Mild Peril, talking about my beard being shaved off, Stephen Karaglazu, sorry, Karaglazu, I can't talk. Kevin Fox, Peter Davison, Mark C, Koba, Gamer Gambit, who says keep on rocking for $1.99. Thank you very much. I wish I could keep on rocking, but I have to go. I have to go again in single dad mode. I got to make sure Junior's ready for school tomorrow. And believe me, I will hear it from Japan if I'm late bringing him to school. Like the swift hand of Mrs. Nerdrotic will strike me down with great vengeance and furious anger. All right. So our next review will be The Punisher tomorrow night. Tomorrow, if you're a Patreon member, we're going to do a Patreon nooner for as little as $1. You can get an additional nooner. And who doesn't like an additional nooner? Thank you to all the new subscribers. Our latest video is a Rotten Tomatoes video, and I know how you kids love those. It's on the Star Trek. Brother, we have an additional one coming out that I've been kind of sitting on for a long time because I've been doing research, doing some homework. Now, listen, I don't have a staff of people. It was just me crunching some numbers. We'll see how it works out. I'm sure I made a mistake, but that's what I do. I'm just a dude with a microphone. I am not a news agency. So yes. And if other YouTubers want to make videos about me, great. You listen, use my logo. I will not copyright strike you. Don't worry. Because it just helps me. So thanks. Bye everybody. And thank you to the Wrenches, Jody, Kato Roan, Penn Farm Girl, DJ D Show. What's up? I saw the Patreon counterpart review. Great stuff for an art class. I know. I know. I did a watch party there where I was just basically going, what was that? And I paused. I'm like, okay, what just happened there? And then we're trying to like screenshot stuff, and it was an hour. That was really awful. That's why I was on Patreon. That's what you get for $1. What do you want for $1? That's why the level's called I'll buy that for $1. Thank you to the Wrenches and Mako and who else was in here? Oh my God, it was almost everybody, all the Wrenches and everybody in the chat. Thank you so much. You folks, you kind folks in Europe and the UK. Hopefully that was good news about Article 13. Please check us out again next, this coming Wednesday, another nooner, probably like 11 p.m. or 11 a.m. my time. Sorry. And everybody have a great evening. May the small folks sing songs of your greatness. Cheers. Oh yeah. And watch the Exozone. We're going to start doing a lot more of those. So I think our next one is this weekend. Bye-bye.